Hello, my name is Katrina Johnson, and in this video we are looking at formatting a report for your final assessment in Inclusive Practice for Nursing. We will be using the APA referencing style. However, there will be some unit-specific elements in this course. Some of these will be, you need to include a cover page with your student name, student number, unit code, unit name, term date and year, the name of your unit coordinator, the name of the assignment, and the due date for submission. You will also need to include a contents page with headings that match the report headings, a reference list correctly formatted to the APA referencing style in Arial size 11-point font, include a header with your student name and student number, and a footer with the page numbers. We will start at the beginning with the cover page. We will then go on to look at using section breaks to change your page numbering and also how to set up a table of contents using the auto function in Word. We will also be looking at setting up headings using the heading styles, and this is what's going to allow us to set up a table of contents. And we will look at formatting your reference list to the APA style. Okay, so in this assignment you are going to have a cover page, which will be a separate page with no page numbering. You'll have an executive summary, and your executive summary and your title page will be in a separate section. They will have Roman numerals as their page numbering. Then you will have your body and references. These will have normal page numbering, which are in the aerobic page numbering, so our normal 1, 2, 3. And in this section, you're going to have an introduction. You're going to have your marginalised group 1 and the subheadings. 1, 2, and 3, your marginalised group 2 and the subheadings. Now, they are not going to be named marginalised group or subheading 1, 2, and 3. We are just using these for demonstration purposes. You're going to have a conclusion, and then on a separate page, you're going to have your references. Okay, so I'm going just to go to a little mock-up document that we've got here that's got an executive summary, introduction, some fake headings, and a lot of fake text there to create a document. We also have a reference list that has been referenced to the Harvard style that we will adapt to suit the actual APA style. Now, most of you will have seen this checklist, and this is the checklist that we're going to be following. I'll just take it to the beginning. So with your APA document, if you follow this checklist, you will get the correct APA setup. You're going to need A4 paper, margins that are 2.54 all the way around, top, bottom, left and right. Same font and style for the whole document. As your reference list has been requested that it be Arial size 11, we're going to make the whole document Arial size 11. Your font colour has to be black, your line spacing double, your paragraph spacing 0 points before and 12 points after, with your paragraphs flush against the left margin, so left aligned, not justified, which means we'll have the wobbly end on the right hand side. No stray enters, no bold text except the headings, and you will have 2 spaces after the full stops. Now, be aware that the 2 spaces required after the full stop is something that you need to check with your lecturer, because different lecturers have different requirements there. We will also look at the headings, and we're going to look at how to make Word set these headings up so it's a simple click to make it all do the centered bold title case on a line by itself, and same with level 2. Title case simply means that all the main words have titles as the first letter, where the small words like and, of, or have a small letter at the beginning of each word. In this situation, you are only going to need level 1 and level 2 headings, so we're not going to worry about the others. Short quotations, I won't be looking at short quotations, but they will simply be a continuation of text. So basically that means just put the quote in double quotation marks. So anything fewer than 40 words. Anything with 40 words or more, you're going to use an enter at the beginning, directly before it and directly after it to put it in its own little paragraph. No quotation marks. It will still have double line spacing, but it will be indented by 1.27 centimetres. And as you can see here, that's Control M. And it will have paragraph spacing of 0 points before and 0 points after. Your references, as you can see here, we'll start that on a new page. Your heading is center aligned but not bold. Your alignment is left aligned, hanging indent, which is Control T, double line spacing, paragraph spacing of 0 points before, 0 points after. Each reference list is a single paragraph, which simply means you have an enter directly at the end of the URL and not in between the reference and the URL. Strict alphabetical order, we can use Word to do that for us, and URL should be black, not hyperlinked or underlined. And again, we'll have a look at that. And the title page, I'm just going to show you a simple version that looks effective. We've been given the details of the title page in your instructions. Same style, font style, but size may be larger, so we're going to start with Arial 11, and section break to separate from the report. And your header is going to be a single number with single line spacing, paragraph spacing, tabs used to move between the sections. And you are expected in your instructions to have in the header your student name and number. Rightio, so let's get going with this. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to start by taking all of our text, and what I'm going to do is click Control and A, and what you can see is that selects everything in the document. So we have everything that's been typed has been selected. I'm going to come up here and change it to Arial. '11, because that is what you've been asked for in your instructions. I'm going to make sure that it is all black by clicking Automatic. The APA guide states that it all, apart from your reference list, but we'll do this now, needs to be 0 points before, so we've got the 0 points before, and 3 clicks will take you up to 12 points after. Make sure it says 12 points, because if you don't have the PT there, all sorts of weird things can happen. Okay, so that has the whole document set to that. We shall go back, double line spacing, or you can simply hit Control-2 to do double line spacing, and left aligned, which is simply your left. Now notice that if you click the left aligned more than once, it makes your text justified, which means it's even on both sides. We do not want that. We don't want to have it justified, we only want to have it left aligned. So make sure your text is lined up on the left and all messy and wobbly on the right. Okay, rightio. This point we're going to go back up to the top. So our text should all be set to what we want. We are going to set up our page. So our page is supposed to be A5. So if we go to Layout up on the top tabs, go to our page setup in the ribbon, size, and choose A4. Margins, now you may have it in here. If you don't have a normal setting that says 2.54, 2.54 all the way, you can go down to custom margins and you can type in your 2.54, 2.54, and 2.54, and OK. From here, I'm going to add a section break to break the title page from the rest of the documents. Now you will find there are two main types of breaks that we use. A section break breaks the document into sections and allows you to change things like your page numbering and to have certain sections of your document with different footers and things. A page break simply drops all of the information down onto the next page. Now we want a section break in between the title page and the executive summary, and we are also going to want a section break in between the contents page and the introduction when we get to that point. When we take our references, they need to be on a separate page. We are simply going to use a page break because we're not doing anything to change any page numbering there. So to start with, we go up to Layout and you can see breaks up there. Simply click the drop down and we want the section breaks next page, which will bring this so that there it is a new page. So you can see this has just created this blank page up here. Now you can actually see section break. This is because I have on what is called show and hide. And you can see this little backwards P, which is called a pilcrow. So that pilcrow, if you turn it on, sorry, off at this point because I had it on. If you turn it off, your document will look normal. If you turn it on, you will see lots of little dots and pilcrows and assorted other things. Now this shows you where any spaces, any enters, any tabs, any extra things are situated on your document. So you can see here there's an extra enter. Now we tend to avoid enters and make sure that our whole document has no extra enters sitting on their own on the left here. Okay, so if you go through a document and you see any enters, you delete them. All these extras here, we shall delete. Right, if we want something onto a new page, like our references here, we simply put in a page break. Now, there are about 3 different ways to do it. My favorite is to hit Control and Enter. And you can see page break with our little show and hide here. And you can see that references has dropped to the next line. You can also go up to Insert, and you can see Insert Page Break there. And you can go up to our layout and our breaks that we just looked at. And the first one on the drop down is page break. So there are a number of ways to do that. But as I say, the simplest one is to learn the shortcut, Control Enter. Let's go back to the top of our document. And an easy way to go to the top of a document is to hit Control Home. Okay, we have our blank page here for our title page with our section break. I'm simply going to click at the very beginning of this and start typing the information we need in our document. So I'm going to put an enter, and the reason I like to do this is so I can distinctly see what's happening and I know this is the break. But I'm going to put a tab, I'm going to type name, I'm going to do a second tab, and I'm going to put a name in here. So let's imagine we're Keely Smith today. Enter. So I'm going to do another tab. I'm going to type student number, a tab, and a student number. Okay. And unit code. And a tab again. So in this case, NURS11162. Okay, now you can see that looks a little bit messy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add some tabs so that are going to make this a line from the center out. Okay, our first tab up on the very left hand side here, you can see our little tab stops that we can put on here. So I'm going to put a little left hand tab, and I'm going to put it at about the 8.5. So all I have to do is click in the bottom half of the ruler. Now if your ruler is not visible, you simply go to View, and you can see in the Show panel, you can turn rulers off and on there. Okay, so click in the bottom half of the ruler at about the 8.5, and you'll see that little tab has popped in there. And what you will see is that all of my content has moved over, that tab has moved over to where I've got this. Now this is a left tab, so everything is going to go from that tab across from the left. Now if I wish to put a center tab in, you will see that there's one here that's got your upside down T. That's a center tab, and that will make everything center. I'm going to go to the next one, which is our right tab, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pop it about the 7 on the bottom half of the ruler. And what you will notice is that all of this information is now aligning from the center to the left, while this information aligns from the center to the right. Now if we turn off our show and hide, you'll see that that's going to look quite effective. Okay, with that, I like to keep the show and hide on so we can see what's happening, but it can get a bit messy. You'll notice that there's a dot here. Now what that means is that for some reason this top one has taken on a style ref of heading 1. What I'm going to do is select everything, click normal, and I'm going to add my tabs back in because that likes to mess my tabs up. So the right align at the 7, click a few times until I get back to my left align at about the 8.5. Doesn't really matter where you put them so long as they look right. Okay, so I'm going to continue on putting my information in. So a tab to bring it to that point, unit name, a tab, inclusive practice for nursing, and again enter tab, term date, which in this particular case should be term 2, and you're asked for the year, so 2017, tab. Now unit coordinator next, tab that across. Now I'm not sure who your unit coordinator is, so I'm just going to put in John Jones. Oh look, I haven't added a tab, so we simply go back, pop our tab in, everything goes to where it should be. Okay, another tab, what do we need? Our assignment name. a tab, maybe assessment task 2. Go to your assessment instructions to see what you should have here. I'm going to pop word count in here. Your word count has to be under 2,000 words. I'm going to leave that blank because I won't know that until I've checked my word count, but we can come back and pop that in. And due date is Wednesday, the 4th of October 2017. Rightio. So at this point you can see we have a nicely aligned title page. However, it is all scrunched at the top. Now I've just used Control Scroll to zoom out so we can see this whole page. You can also see the other pages, but you'll see it's all sort of scrunched at the top. Let's just go to view one page so we can see this a bit better. Okay, so instead of having it scrunched at the top, what we'd like to do is have this justified so it spreads across the page. So what I'm going to do here is simply be clicked anywhere in that page, go back to our Layout tab, click on the little page setup block and the little corner arrow. Once I click that, we will get a little pop-up box, and I want to go through to the Layout tab. In that Layout tab, right at the middle under Page, you'll see Vertical Alignment, and this is actually going to align our information from the top to the bottom. So I want to do a Justified, and this is going to spread my information evenly across the page. If I hit Justified there, apply to this section, I only want this section. And what will happen is we'll apply it to the section above the section break that I put in there. When I go OK, you should now see that all that information is spread very nicely with no extra enters or any extra rubbish in there. Okay. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select the name, the student number. Now you can see that I'm selecting things that are not together. I'm holding Control. This is called non-contiguous selection. So I can select things that are not lined up side by side. Contiguous means things that are together one after the other. Non-contiguous will select things that are aligned, that are all over a document. And I'm going to make that bold. To do that, I'm simply going to go to Home and B for bold. I also want to make that a size larger so that this information stands out as being our labels. So I'm going to come up here and increase our font size. Now you may have noticed that we have everything else in Arial 11, but this has all come in at Times New Roman. So we're going to select everything here and change it all to Arial. Okay, so we have Arial 14 and Arial 12, and that's fine. You'll also notice that in making my changes that my assessment name has dropped down and is sitting over on the left-hand side. Now that doesn't look very good. The easiest way to fix this is simply, I'm just going to be clicked on that line that this has happened to. Oh, and apparently I can't spell assignment. Let's fix that because that's not a good thing. Okay, so I'm just going to be simply click somewhere in this line and come back up to my little ruler again and see our hanging indent here. If I click on the bottom triangle and move it over, you will see how this moves over, and if I put it exactly where that left tab is, you'll see that my assessment down here is now lining up nicely directly under the other name assessment. Okay, I think that looks like that is our title page done. Oh no, there's one more thing. Now you don't have to do this, but I tend to put a border. And if you are going to use a border, borders only ever go on the title page and never on the rest of the document. So what you can do to get a border is simply be clicked anywhere in the page again. Go up to the Design tab. On the very right-hand side, right to the end, you can see Page Borders. If we click on this, we'll get up our little pop-up box. Now we just want a box border. You can choose a number of different borders in here. I think a simple border is usually the most effective. You can choose a different color, but I'm going to leave it at black because generally we're going for an academic look here. I would not suggest playing around with the art borders when you're looking for an academic finish. Okay, we are going to come over on the right hand side here and we're going to see this apply to drop down box. We wish to apply to this section again, first page only. Once we click that and go OK, you will see that we have a page border that is only affecting our title page and not anything else. Now what we need to do next, we have our executive summary. Now, our executive summary is going to have a table of contents below it on a separate page. We are also going to have our introduction on another page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my page break, which is my control enter. And as you can see, there's a page break here. Now that's going to drop everything below the executive summary and just above this enter here to the next page. I want a table of contents here. Now I'm not going to do the table of contents yet because there's a few other things to do. So I'm just going to write the word contents just to hold that place for me so we know what's going there. I'm now going to put a section break. Now we talked about needing the section breaks to change page numbering. So I'm coming up to layout and breaks again where it says section break, next page. If we click there, again, you will see our little section break. Now, as I say, I do like to hit enter here so we can see clearly. There's the section break, there's the page. If we scroll down now, we'll see our introduction and we have a little blank enter up here. We don't want him. So we simply click on him and delete him. Now, each of our headings have a very specific thing that they need to be in the APA guidelines. I'll just pull our little APA document back up again here. As you can see, our first level 1 heading needs to be centered, bold, title case, and on a line by itself. Our level 2 heading needs to be left align, bold, title case, and on a line by itself. So on a line by itself simply means we hit enter at the end of it. Our title case, as I said before, means that our main words will have a capital letter at the beginning, and small words like on and a will have small letters. Centered and bold and left align and bold are fairly basic and understandable. So let's go and do this. What we're going to do, so introduction is going to be one of our main headings. So this is going to be a heading 1. So we're going to go to our home tab, and up here you can see heading 1, heading 2, heading 3. Now what you will find with these heading 1s and heading 2s is that it depends on what design that you've chosen as to how they're going to look. So if I come over here and click on one of these different designs, you'll see that our heading becomes a big blue heading 1. Now we don't want that, so what we need to do, we're going to click on our introduction, we're going to click on heading 1, so that's going to make it heading 1. However, as that's blue and not centered or bold as we want, what we're going to do is we're going to right click on it and we're going to go modify. Now what this is going to do is it's going to modify the style ref heading for heading 1 to what we choose. So every time you click on a heading and click on heading 1, it's going to be to the style we wish. So we know that we need it to be Arial, as our whole document is in Arial. We know we need it to be 11, size 11, as the document is Arial 11. We know it needs to be black. We know it needs to be center aligned, as in the APA guidelines. We know it needs to be bold. Here's our little bold, and that's the basics that we need it to be. So once we go OK, you should see that our introduction now becomes Arial 11, centered, bold, on line by itself. Now, if we go down to marginalized group 1, which is another level 1, and simply click heading 1 here, you'll see that it does the same thing. Now, subheading 1 is going to be a level 2 heading. We need it to be level 2, so we go to heading 2 here. Again, you'll see that that's not following the APA guidelines, so we're going to right click, modify, and set this up according to the guidelines as well. So Arial 11, bold, black, left aligned this time, and that's everything we need to do. We go OK, and you will see that it now has the correct settings. You will notice, however, that both of these have been made very close to our text. What's happened is the heading style has automatically changed the layout to 4 points before and 0 points after. Now, we don't want that. We want to leave that at the 0 points before and 12 points after, as is required in the document. So we'll go up again. I'm just going to click on introduction. I'm going to right click on a heading 1 again and modify. If we go down the bottom of our pop-up box to format and click on paragraph, you will see that we can choose to have our spacing. So we're going to set our spacing to 0 points before and 12 points after. OK, and OK again, and you'll see that the introduction then has the information drop down. We'll do that again on our heading 2. Right click and modify, down to format, paragraph, and again 0 points before and 12 points after, as is required in the APA guidelines. Okay, and it's dropped down. I'm just going to zoom in so we can see this all a little bit clearer. Okay, so we're going to simply scroll down, and each of our headings is going to be given a heading 1 or heading 2 as they need. So subheading 3, heading 2. Our marginalised group, heading 1. Subheading 1, heading 2, heading 2, heading 2. We get to conclusion. Conclusion is a main heading, so it will have a heading 1 style. Now, just have a quick look. With all our changes, we will notice that our page break and our extra enter here has dropped our references down a page. So all we're going to do is come to this enter at the end here and simply delete it. That means our page break brings our references here. Now, our references will have a different heading style. However, we are going to click heading 1. As part of our reference list, the actual guidelines state that the heading needs to be center aligned but not bold. So we're simply going to click on this even though we've made it a heading 1, and we're going to just untick the bold on it. Now, the reason we wish it to be heading 1 is if we leave it as a heading 1 but just change the bold in here, it means that our contents list will still have our references in the contents list as one of the headings. Okay, so we've created all our headings here. Let's go back to the top, so Control Home to take us to the top. Another thing you can do is if you come up to View and go to Navigation pane, you will see that you have a little headings thing here, and that every heading we have created is visible in here. So I can simply click on any of these and it will take me to that part of the document. So at this point, I want to go back up to Introduction, or just above that actually, to our contents. So we have our headings. We can now put in our auto contents. So I'm going to delete that word that I had in there as a little placeholder to insert a table of contents. Now, a table of contents refers to things within the document. So what we need to do is go to References in our tabs, and we're going to go to our table of contents. It's the very first thing up here in our references. We're going to go to the drop-down box, and I'm going to go to our automatic table 2 that says Table of Contents. Now, once you do this, you will notice that we automatically have a table of contents. Our table of contents has been given a heading 1 style that sits using the same style as our heading 1 style that we created. We also have every main heading and heading 2 in here. As you can see, the heading 2s have been indented slightly. All our page numbering is also appearing in here. Okay, so that's our table of contents done for us. Now, we are still going to make a few changes to our page numbering, and when we do this, we will have to fix this because it doesn't automatically change for us. But to fix it, all we are going to need to do is to click on it, and you can see up here an update table. Click on that, and it gives you the option to update the page numbers or the entire table. When you do that, any changes will happen. So if you are still writing a document, you can certainly put your table of contents in and then go in and fix it if you have new page numbering due to adding information. Our next thing to do is to look at our footers and headers and our page numbering. To include a footer, you can either double click at the bottom of the page and the footer will appear, or double click back in the body of the page for the body to come back. Same thing with the header. A double click up the top will open the headers. If your double click is not doing that for you, you can also go to Insert, and if you come across, you will see Header and Footer. Go down to Edit Footer or Edit Header, depending on which one you want to do, and you will see that it pops open that footer in the same way. Now, part of your instructions, so this is unit-specific instructions, it asks that you have page numbers in the footer. We are going to put our page number on the footer. I'm going to tab over twice. These tabs, 2 tabs, will bring our pointer to the point that we want to put our page numbering. I'm simply going to go up. Now, once you're in the footer, you will notice that there's an extra little header tab up here, which gives you all the footer information. So we're going to go to left. We're going to go to the page number here, and we're going to go to current position, and that's going to put a page number in the position that I've got my icon. I'm just going to go with plain number because being APA, we only have a plain number. Now, you'll see that I have a lovely little plain number 1 in the corner. If we scroll up, you'll see that there's a plain number 1 on the title page as well. Now, generally, title pages do not have page numbers. So to get rid of this, what we are going to do is we're going to use our sections that we've created. We're going to go down to the executive summary. So this is the second section because it's below the section break of the title page. And what I'm going to do is, you can see here it says same as previous. What we wish to do is make it so that it's no longer same as previous, so that we can delete the previous section or the footers in the previous section. To do that, you go up to your design tab in your headers, and you can see the navigation and the link to previous. We're going to click that, and that unlinks. Once we've clicked that and it's no longer highlighted, you will see that our little same as previous has been removed from our footer. So we can now go up to the title page, click on the page numbering in here and delete it. And what should happen, provided Word does what we like, is we should be able to scroll down and our page numbers will still be on the next page. Right, so our next step, we want to have Roman numerals in what is called the front matter. So the front matter is the executive summary and the table of contents. And generally these have Roman numerals, and your normal page numbers start at the introduction, at the beginning of the body. Now to do this, what we want to do is do the same thing. We want to go down below it to the introduction page, and we want to click in here. We want to remove our link to previous again. So come up and remove the link to previous. And what that is going to do is it's going to allow us to come up to this front matter section and to change our page numbers. Now, to change the page numbers from normal Arabic numbers to Roman numerals, we simply click in there, come up to our page number again, and you will see format page numbers. If we click on the format page numbers, in the very first drop-down box, we can go down and we can click on our Roman numerals. The other thing I want to do is make sure start at I is there, so that it starts with I on the executive summary. So you will now see that our executive summary has a little Roman numeral of I. As you scroll down, you'll see that your contents list has 2 I's, which stands for 2. We go down to our introduction, and what we should see is we have page numbering down here. Now, if for some reason this page numbering is set to 3, which it will generally be, all you need to do is click near it. Again, go to the page number, format page numbers, and make sure that little box that says start at 1 is ticked. Once you've done that, it will drop back to 1. If it is on continue from previous section, this is where you will have a 3. So I'm just going to pop that right back to where I want it. Start at 1. So our page numbering from the introduction down goes from 1 through to, I imagine, about 6 or 7. There you go, 6 pages. I'm just going to click up to our executive summary here and come down to our table of contents. Now you will notice that our table of contents now has the wrong page numbers, because we have 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 all the way where we should have I. So again, simply click here, update table. I'm going to allow it to simply update the page numbers and go OK. And you will now see that our executive summary starts with a Roman numeral and the rest of our document has its numbering. Click anywhere outside of that to remove that big grey box that happens. Next, we need to have a look at our reference list. So let's go and click on references to take us down to the reference list. Now, our references in APA, number 1, it needed to start on a new page. So we have our page break here to drop it down. Our heading needed to be center aligned and not bold, which we have done. Our alignment, now I'm going to select everything. So I'm just going to scroll down and select everything here. Our alignment needs to be left aligned. It needs to have a hanging indent at 1.27 centimeters. Now you do this, you simply hit Control T. If you can't remember your Control T, so I'll undo that. And I'll just scroll up so we can see a few more. Another way of doing this is to right click and go to paragraph, and you will see here that there is indentation, and you can choose hanging in here. It automatically makes it the 1.27, and you again have a hanging indent. Okay, that's the easiest 2 ways to do it. Okay, our line spacing is supposed to be double. Now we already have double line spacing because we did that at the beginning. Our paragraph spacing, however, was set to 0 points before and 12 points after. So we're going to drop that back to 0 points before and 0 points after, as is required in the Harvard reference list. Each reference needs to be a single paragraph. So what this means, and I'm just going to play around here to give you a better idea. If you have a reference that has a URL or 2 or 3 references with URLs, and you have an enter, as you can see the pilcrow, between that and the reference, what you are going to find when you proceed to use your automatic alphabetizing. So let's select our reference list. I'm going to do an automatic alphabetize. So up to home, and next to our little show and hide pilcrow, we've got A to Z sorting. So I'm going to sort this. I'm just going to leave it as paragraphs and text with no header row. If you chose the word references, you would have header row ticked. I'm going to go ascending. Once I hit OK, we will find that all our H's have lined up together. Now that's a bit of a problem because we want these links or these URLs to be with their actual reference. So I'm going to undo, and this is why we want to remove any extra enters. So it is okay for a URL to sit on a line completely separate. Just remove the enter and let it do its own thing. Okay, so another delete here and another delete here. We'll bring that when we do our alphabetizing, that everything works properly. The other thing that we are going to need to do is not to have these clickable links. Your references should be blacked, not hyperlinked, not underlined. So if you have a link like I've just made, you simply need to right click on it and you can see remove hyperlink. That will remove your hyperlinks very simply and leave you with black, non-underlined text. Okay, now I'm going to just scroll out again, and as you can see, I'm going to turn our little pilcrows off, or I'll show and hide off, and you can now see we have our references. Each one has a hanging indent applied. They have double line spacing with 0 points before and after on the paragraph spacing. Every reference is on a single paragraph, no hyperlinks, and just to double check, we'll select it all. We'll come up and use our sort to make sure that it is sorted alphabetically. We now have a reference list set to the APA standard. Okay, so let's just go back to the beginning. Let's click Executive Summary. Go back to the beginning. So we have a title page. We've missed our word count. So to get a word count, it is a simple case of selecting everything except you don't select your table of contents, your title page, or your reference list. Actually, you also don't select your executive summary. So we're going to start at the introduction here and scroll all the way down to the end of the conclusion. Now, you will see on the very bottom left-hand side of your page, it has page 7 of 9, and it also says 1,329 of 1,758 words. So I'm nowhere near the 2,000 word count that you guys need. However, the important thing here is this 1329. That is your word count. So 1329, I'm going to go back up to my title page and pop my word count in there. Okay, the only other thing we need to worry about is the headers and putting our student name and student number in there. So again, to go to the headers, all we need to do is double click at the top to open them, or if that's not working for you, insert and header, and let's go edit header. Okay, so once we're in here, this is a unit specific instruction that is in your assessment instructions. We simply need to put our name, and in this case it is Keely Smith, and our student number. Now, how you set this up is up to you. You can either put your name, a couple of tabs that takes you over to the right-hand side, and your student number. You could choose to, let's just undo that, put your name, your name and a colon and your student number. That's up to you. I have to admit, I tend to think that the name on one side, the student number on the other side tends to balance your page quite nicely. Okay, and again, your headers and footers, the APA formatting was that they were single line spacing, same font and size as the rest of your document, with, and don't forget this, layout of 0 points before and after. Now you will find that that is the layout, the page spacing and the single line spacing is automatic to Word. However, the font type and size is something that you will have to sort out yourself. If you have questions, my email is k.johnson@cqu.edu.au. That's my email, and my name is Katrina Johnson, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about formatting a report to the APA style. That is everything, and I want to wish you good luck with your assessments and the end of the term. Thank you. Bye.